All right, so those were the election updates. We'll, of course, get you the latest as the interim budget is, of course, presented in the lower house of the parliament. But for the time being, let's shift our attention to some other stories from across the world. And let's start with what Donald Trump has said, where he's claimed that the trade talks with China are, in fact, going pretty well. But the agreement will not be finalized until he meets with the Chinese president in the coming weeks. The President Donald Trump has said that he will meet with the Chinese President Xi Jinping soon to try to seal a comprehensive trade deal, as the top U.S. trade negotiator has reported substantial progress in the high-level talks. Now, Trump has also added that he was in fact extremely optimistic about the two largest economies reaching a deal.
China's having a very hard time. They're here now. We're going to be seeing them a little bit later. We're trying to work out a new trade deal with China. I think it'll happen. Something will happen. But it's a very big deal. It'll be, if it does happen, it'll be by far the largest trade deal ever made. And we essentially didn't have a trade deal with China. We lost $500 billion with China for many years, a year. Anywhere from $300 to $505 billion a year was lost in our dealing with China. And I have a very good relationship with President Xi, and I think we'll sit down at the end of the negotiation by our representatives and do something with respect to making a deal with China. And I think it has a very good chance of.
All right, now, no formal meeting between President Trump and Xi Jinping has been announced so far, but according to sources, Chinese trade negotiators have in fact proposed a meeting between the Chinese and the U.S. president in China next month. The United States and China have also opened the pivotal round of two-day-long high-level trade talks. The talks are in fact aimed at digging out from their month-long trade war and amidst the deep differences over the Chinese practices on intellectual property and technology transfer. Now, the head of a 30-person delegation from Beijing, the Chinese Vice Premier Liu, has in fact met with the U.S. Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer. The talks began 2 days after the United States charged the Chinese telecommunications company Huawei and its chief financial officer Meng Wanzhou. Now, the U.S. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin has expressed optimism, saying that significant progress can in fact be achieved during this week's high-level trade negotiations in Washington. But the two sides have just a month remaining in the 90-day truce declaration in December. Should the talks fail, the U.S. import duties on $200 billion of Chinese imports are due to more than double on the 2nd of March. Now, this, of course, is going to be a very crucial date to watch out for. Can the two leaders reach a trade deal before that? Something that economists could, in fact, say help knock the wind out of the global economy sails if the two leaders do not manage to reach a deal.